funding cuts and organizational problems are affecting already limited food rations for refugees living in Uganda, driving some people, desperate families, back into the devastated lands they fled. The shortage underscores the international community's struggle to cope with Africa's biggest refugee crisis since the 1994 Rwanda genocide. Over 1 million South Sudanese refugees are living in sprawling camps in northern Uganda, seeking refuge from the 4-year-old civil war that has devastated their homeland. Funding gaps and organizational problems frequently delay or reduce their food supply, underscoring the international community's struggle to cope with Africa's biggest refugee crisis in 2 decades.
Some of the refugees may decide to return to their homes earlier than they are supposed to be. By earlier, I mean before there is peace in that country. Our desire is that each and every refugee should return to their home country when there is peace. But if there is no support, it means we may lose lives instead of protecting lives. That's why we call for support, that donors should provide resources for this particular response.
Palorinya camp houses about 180,000 refugees. Each refugee is supposed to get 12 kilograms of grain, 6 kilograms of dry beans, cooking oil and salt per month. But the UN's World Food Programme says this was delayed in October because grain was scarce in Uganda and the roads to Palorinya were bad. The WFP says it takes 2 weeks to get a full round of distribution to all the camps, so tens of thousands of refugees did not get any food that month. World Vision Aid Group, which runs the distributions, said that Palorinya camp is already 2 months behind other camps in its distribution cycles.
The food is not enough simply because we need to grind this, we need to buy shop, we need to buy certain small thing at home, but this food is not enough. Once you take them from the market, you will also have nothing at home.
Oil-rich South Sudan's war has forced more than a third of its 12 million citizens to flee their homes. Tens of thousands have died, some in ethnic killings, others from starvation and disease. In 2004, Yusufu Bangura was placed under foster care in Sierra Leone and later ended up with a family in the United States of America. He recently traveled back home where he started the Bangura Project, an initiative pushing for access to clean water and other developmental programs as the country rebuilds after years of civil war.
After living in the United States for over a decade, Yusuf Bangura returned to Sierra Leone to reunite with his family and to do his bit in rebuilding a country still recovering from civil war. Yusuf launched a project to improve access to clean water for people in Cambia, the village where he found his mother after tracing the process of his adoption.
I decided to come back to my home country, to see my family after 14 years, as well as to bring any kind of humanitarian relief that I can, specifically through the use of HIPAA rulers, 24-gallon containers that make easy access to transporting water.
Using HIPAA water rulers or drums that are designed to roll over different types of terrain, residents can now transport up to 90 liters of water per trip. The initiative wants to ease the burden on women who often carry heavy buckets of water over long distances for domestic use and have children spend more time on their education.
It reduced child labor, and that's very, very great. And now, in those days when we didn't have it, actually, when we want to send our children, they cannot go. They are not happy because of, they enjoy this ruler because of it's very light and is easy to transport something like water, you see.
Yusuf gets the tongs from South Africa and has relied on donors to help him fund his initiative. Sierra Leone ranks among the bottom of the United Nations Human Development Index. According to WaterAid, a third of the population do not have access to safe water. Yusuf has been holding discussions with residents to find out more about the pressing needs of the community.
One of the things that I want to do for this community, particularly in Cambia too, is talk to them about some of the developments I want to bring to Sierra Leone in the future. And some of their needs and priorities that they're encountering at this point. So we're going to go talk to some community members and get their opinions.
Yusuf partners with the government and local organizations on a larger scale to develop community-run projects that improves clean water supply in rural parts of the country.
Rubber Sport Liberia is one of the best surfing spots in the world and should be crawling with tourists and keen surfers. But this fishing village, once a rebel stronghold during the war, remains quiet with no investment to help lift the people out of poverty. Residents say the government has abandoned the people of Liberia.
Much has been written on the revival of the small fishing village off Liberia's Ravaged Sport, an unspoiled surfer's paradise, famous for having one of Africa's longest left-hand point breaks, world-class tubes, and hollow, bowly waves. Yet if it remains unspoiled, it's because the tourists are still not coming, despite an award-winning film on the nascent sport attracting visitors in 2008. Residents have built simple shacks in corrugated iron near the beach. Further inland, amongst the trees, are abandoned houses destroyed during the war that ended in 2003 when rebels held Ravaged Sport. The town, originally called Ravaged Sport, was named after Joseph Jenkins Roberts, Liberia's first president, who is said to have carved his name on a cotton tree when he landed in Liberia from Virginia in 1829. Almost 200 years later, the country is taking part in an electoral process that brings to an end the presidency of Nobel Peace Prize winner Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. Many Liberians praise 78-year-old Sirleaf for keeping peace since the dark days of the 14-year conflict when gangs of drugged and armed child soldiers marauded through the streets. Some of Ravaged Sport's fishermen were themselves child fighters or forced to carry weapons. This is one reason Benjamin Makrumada is heavily invested in the youth of this area, teaching surfing, but disappointed that the town has not turned into the hub he'd hoped for.
I want to see Liberia to be a good Liberia, to seek the young people's interest. Yeah, because the past government was not seeking the young people's interest at all. Yeah, a young man can just be doing a sport all the time with all no benefit and with all him being recognized, doing good for the country, putting the country on the media. And with all him being recognized, it almost be like he's playing like fun or like he's doing something that is not in the interest of the country. So like almost like discouraging the younger people, like the past government, always discouraging them.
Kwepuna Retreat is a surfing camp and school that runs a sharing system, allowing Ravaged Sports youth to borrow surfboards on condition they go to school and help clean up the beach.
Well, that's Network Africa. Thank you for watching. I'm Jota Rogers.